We've talked exclusively about scholarship players when covering the WVU football roster this offseason. However, this year's West Virginia football team does have a handful of preferred walk-ons who could make an impact this season. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Jordan Cruz back here with Country Roads Webcast. And before I get into this video, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder. If you would do us a favor, hit that like button, give us a thumbs up on this video. It'll help not only its performance, but future videos performances on the channel as well. And if you're a WVU fan, be sure hit that subscribe button. Helps us and it helps you, as it helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, let's get into it. All right, with as much as we cover scholarship players here when talking about the WVU roster on the Country Roads Webcast, I felt it was only right that we put out a video in which we give the preferred walk-ons that could make an impact their due as well. And to lead it off, how about Anthony Del Negro? He actually contributed last season already as a preferred walk-on coming over from Stony Brook. Prior to last season, I put out a video talking about how he could be a secret weapon for the Mountaineers. I'll put a card for that video right here. And in that video, I talked about how he had been a specialist at blocking field goals and punts at Stony Brook. And at West Virginia, they were hoping he would be the same kind of weapon on special teams. And although he didn't really get any blocks himself specifically, I think he tipped one punt throughout the season. He did impact special teams a lot, freeing up things for other guys to make plays, as evidenced by the blocked punt that CJ Donaldson got in the backyard brawl against Pitt. Check this out. Look who blows up the protection to allow CJ Donaldson to get in there and make this block. You'll see number 47, and that's Anthony Del Negro, the preferred walk-on that came over from Stony Brook. Made an impact already last season, and I think he's going to do it again this year. So there's just a little bit of a showcase of what he can do and what he's done already at WVU. And I think this year I'm fully expecting him to get his hands on one of his own, whether it be a punt or a field goal or both. I'd love to see that happen. But Anthony Del Negro, certainly a preferred walk-on that'll make an impact again this season. And then we've got another one here, and this one is a guy that's in a position battle currently, and that's a guy that's fighting for the place-kicking job in Danny King. He's fighting with transfer Michael Hayes, who's come over from Georgia State. But Danny King, despite being a preferred walk-on, is known to be a very talented kicker, and he's battling for that position. He's hit some good long-distance field goals throughout camp and continues to factor into that battle there, and we saw it ourselves in the spring game, as you see here, evidenced by this clip I'm sure you all are familiar with, his game winner from the spring game there. That was Danny King there wearing number 39. So no scholarship for him yet at WVU, but he's a guy that's battling for the place kicking job and the kickoff specialist job. So I think he's a guy that could have a future for the Mountaineers. And, you know, as I detail these preferred walk-ons, I should mention West Virginia does still have 2 scholarships remaining. So one of these preferred scholarship, or a couple of these actually, I should say, could even earn a scholarship by the time the season rolls around. We'll see what happens. But then on offense at the wide receiver position, there's a preferred walk-on that I'm sure state natives are very familiar with, of course, and that's Hudson Clement. The coaching staff has been talking about him a lot this spring. He really seems like he's standing out here now in his redshirt freshman season, doing some good things, and I think he's a guy that could factor into playing time in the future. We've seen, you know, former preferred walk-ons take that path and earn not only playing time, but eventually scholarships, guys like Grayson Malashevich and Preston Fox. So you could see Hudson Clement follow a similar path, and I'm just going to share this article with you guys to just talk about the potential that Hudson Clement has despite being a preferred walk-on. This was a guy that could have went to other programs but decided to be a preferred walk-on at West Virginia. This is from when he committed to the Mountaineers, but you can see here in the state championship game in West Virginia there's his team there, Martinsburg, won 62-21 in the AAA division, which in West Virginia is currently the highest classification there is, and he scored 8 touchdowns in that state championship game, 4 receiving, 3 rushing, and 1 passing. So that just shows you how athletic he is. He was just an absolutely awesome player there at Martinsburg. He was named the West Virginia Football Player of the Year after his senior season there, of course, and then now at WVU as a redshirt freshman after redshirting last season. And despite being a preferred walk-on, is a guy that they've mentioned could be a depth piece at wide receiver and factor in this season. So keep an eye out for Hudson Clement. He'll be wearing number 84 for the Mountaineers. 6'1", 200-pound guy. Like I said, an in-state player that could make an impact as a preferred walk-on. And then another redshirt freshman, and this guy actually just transferred in. He's coming over from Navy. It's a linebacker named Tyler Kane. And I don't know how much he'll factor in this season, but I like this addition for West Virginia because it's a transfer that still essentially has 4 years of eligibility remaining, coming over as a redshirt freshman. Already groomed pretty well and has great size, 6'2", 245 pounds. And we know West Virginia can use some depth at linebacker. So although I don't think he'll really see the field this season particularly, I think down the line he could end up being a piece at the linebacker position for West Virginia. So that's a preferred walk-on to watch for. And then these final two, in my opinion, I've saved kind of the best two for last, I guess you could say, or the two that I think could make the most impact this upcoming season. And in my opinion, that is on the offensive line, Bryce Biggs, 6'4", 310-pounder, now in his redshirt sophomore season, and he's coming from that Spring Valley High School as well, another in-state guy. That's the same high school that produced Wyatt Milam and Doug Nestor, and we know how good they've been on the West Virginia offensive line. Bryce Biggs was a 3-star recruit, but chose to join West Virginia as a preferred walk-on. Remains that currently, but he's been getting good reviews from Matt Moore and Neil Brown throughout spring and, of course, in fall camp as well. And I think that he is on the 2 deep right now for the time being, and we could see him end up there when game week rolls around. And if that does end up being the case, then he could be one that's in line to maybe secure one of these 2 remaining scholarships West Virginia has by the time the season starts. But look out for Bryce Biggs to be a reserve offensive lineman for West Virginia this season. And then last, but certainly not least, I've done a video on this player already earlier this offseason. I'll put a card for that video right here. Be sure to go back and check that out for even more information on this player. But we're talking about fullback Luke Hamilton coming up from the FCS level here to the Power 5, joining West Virginia as a preferred walk-on despite the fact that he was an All-American at that level. And West Virginia really thinks that they have a diamond in the rough potentially here, maybe a secret weapon, whatever you want to call it. West Virginia is going to use Luke Hamilton this year despite the fact that he's not a scholarship player. Do I think West Virginia is going to necessarily line up in I formation? I don't know about that, but I do think you will see Luke Hamilton lead block in some of these great West Virginia backs and really just adding to what should be a really good West Virginia run game with a strong offensive line. Now you bring in a fullback type body that you haven't had. You've particularly used tight ends, and line them up in the backfield at time, but now you have a true fullback known for lead blocking. That's what his specialty has been, and he's very good at it, and I think West Virginia is going to use him this season and use him in a big way, and he's going to make an impact this year. So look out for Luke Hamilton playing fullback for the Mountaineers this season, and West Virginia actually utilizing a fullback at times to go along with the tight ends they'll use, Cole Taylor, Traylon Davis, etc. And in addition to that offensive line, Luke Hamilton's going to be paving the way for West Virginia's deep running back room. And I think that he's certainly a preferred walk-on to watch this season that could potentially make an impact in 2023. But those are my preferred walk-ons to watch for this upcoming season. What do you think about those names? Is there someone I left out? Be sure to drop your thoughts down in the comments below. We really appreciate those interactions as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads Webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.